One of the biggest mistakes I see novice players make is that they bluff in situations when it just couldn't possibly work. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard this excuse from a guy who just got called. He says, well, I had to try. I mean, I couldn't win if I didn't bet. Well, to that I say, did you ever think that maybe you couldn't have won anyway? In order to bluff effectively, you have to set up a bluff by thinking it through beforehand. You need to tell a believable story and back it up with some information. Now, betting can tell that story. If none of the facts you present in your story make any sense at all, you're likely to get caught. Here's an example of a spot where bluffing would be like throwing your bankroll out the window. Okay, you raise before the flop in a 5-10 limit hold'em game with 10 jack of hearts, and one player calls your bet. The flop comes king of hearts, 9 of hearts, and a 4, and you bet $5 with your flush and straight draw. Now your opponent raises you another 5, and you call. The turn card comes, a 7 of diamonds, and you check to your opponent who bets 10. You, of course, call the bet. Now, the river card comes, a deuce of clubs, or in poker terms, a big fat brick. Okay? This is not the time nor the place to attempt to bluff. I mean, you certainly can't win if you check, but you aren't going to win if you bet either. Your bet makes no sense. I mean, what are you trying to sell by betting when the deuce of clubs comes? If your opponent has anything at all, he's going to call your bluff in a heartbeat. Since you played the hand so cautiously up until that point, it's just too late to try and represent a strong hand. The only story you've told with your betting action is that you don't have a very good hand. So, how do you set up a bluff? Now, the key thing you need to do is to set up the bluff earlier in the hand by playing the hand from the start in such a way your opponents might actually think you have a strong hand or are drawing to one. In the example hand, there would have been several ways to do that. 1, re-raise the bet on the flop. 2, check-raise the bet on the flop. 3, check-raise the bet on the turn. Had you done any of these things, taking control of the hand, your river bet when the deuce of clubs comes might look like it makes some sense. The great thing about poker is that there are so many variables and so many ways to play different situations. If you choose to play it cautiously, that's fine. Simply eliminate the desperate river bluff and you'd be eliminating a huge hole in your game.